a military brat. So my dad is in the Air Force. He's retired Air Force. And my mom has been married to him since she was 17. And that's when they just began traveling everywhere because he had to work different place every 3 years. And then, so I also have a brother, and he is 9 years older than me. His name is Chris, and okay, so now I'm like, I don't even know where to begin with all this. He lives in California, and my parents live in Mississippi, and I live in Florida. But let's start at the beginning. I was born in Torrejon, Spain in 1977, and I only lived there for 9 months, and then we moved to Mississippi. And then about 3 years later, we moved to Florida, which was the panhandle of Florida, near Pensacola, Navarre. And then we moved to the Philippines, and we lived there for two years, I believe. And that was when I was in kindergarten. So after that, we moved to Virginia, where we lived for 3 years. And I was in second, a little bit of first, I was in second and third, and then a little bit of fourth grade there. And then I moved to Elk Grove, California, which is 20 minutes south of Sacramento, and lived there for 3 years. And then my dad retired. When I was in the middle of seventh grade, we moved to Florida, back to Navarre, near Pensacola, where we used to live. And we hung out for 9 months. My dad was retired. He was living the life on the golf course. And then he got bored, and we had to move again because he took another job. So he took this job in Vegas. So we moved to Vegas, and then we lived there for probably another 9 months. We'd already bought a house, then we were looking at this new house, and we were getting it built, and blah, blah, blah. And then, I can't remember exactly, his boss was something to do with the governor, and they lost their job, and so they lost their whole position, so he had to look for another job. So then he says, well, I can move back to California, or I can move to Hawaii. And I was like, please, Hawaii. I was into 8th grade, and I was like, please. He was like, Mom, I was like, don't move me back to California, because I did not like it there. So I grew up for the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade in Elk Grove, California. And when I went to Florida for 9 months, I'd gotten California out of my head. I was like, I do not like California. I love Florida. I was so sad to leave. Then I loved Vegas. Then I just got excited about Hawaii. And then my parents telling me that they're moving. They decided to move to California. So we had to move back to where I did not like. So we moved back there right at the beginning of my 9th grade at Elk Grove High School. And I lived there till I was moved there in 1990, and I moved away in 2004. So I lived there for a long time. But anyways, yeah, I went to high school there, and then I went to college at Chico State. And then I became a teacher. So in the California, you have to get a credential. Around the country, you can get a 4-year degree, and you get your elementary thing. But I got a credential, which is actually the 5th year of college, where you have to actually get a teaching credential. So I got that. And then when I got that, we decided to move from California to Florida. And then I've lived a couple places here. But anyways, now I live in Wesley Chapel, Florida. And I think that's all you're supposed to talk about. my brother now lives out there with his new fiance and her 8th grade kid. And I also have a niece that is my brother's daughter. She came from his first marriage, and she's always lived in California. So she actually has been out to visit me, and she actually lived with me for a year. But I'll talk about that another day, another video. But anyways, and then my parents ended up moving back to Mississippi, which my mom is from Mississippi, and my dad is from Kentucky. Anyways, that's a little too much.